All right, so you have started the recording. So it is 6:30. This is the Wednesday, February 19th, 2025 Mendon Select Board meeting, which I'm calling to order. Just so everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded. And if you could please stand and join me for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. So first item on our agenda is the usual citizen, number 2, citizen statements and petitions. And so if there is anyone here in the room who is here for something other than what's on the agenda, or online. Don't see any hands online. Okay. So I believe next up we have appointments. So number 3 is appointments. So we have a fire department appointment. And I believe we have some guests here. If you could please join us, Chief.
Hello, thank you for having me tonight. So we had an opening for the career department. We posted it, went through the process, got 10 applicants, had 4 people interviewed that met the qualifications. This is Casey Hobson. She came out the top from the interview process. There was 7 people that were on our panel, rather large. It was all of our officers and human resources. They unanimously said that Casey would be the best fit for our department. So she's gone through all of the pre-hire requirements other than the PAT, which is scheduled for next week. So she is a 3rd generation firefighter, certified firefighter 1-2, EMT basic, currently in paramedic school, looking to graduate in June, correct?
Yes, hopefully.
Yes. So she does hold a degree in conservation law enforcement from Unity College. She came very highly recommended from the fire chief of Holliston, where she's a call firefighter as well as the assistant fire chief, who was a call member in our department until recently. So with that, looking to have you guys appoint Casey as a career firefighter EMT. For the fire.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So does anyone on the board have questions?
We try not to really.
Wait, yeah,
It sounds like you're qualified.
about the same number of people.
Right,
here,
it was
yeah,
a
so-
rather large interview.
What was the
panel.
deepest
Yeah.
question? Can we ask that one?
I love interviews so much.
Great.
So when she does graduate and gets that, what's your plan? Are you planning on extending the role
So she's being hired as a firefighter paramedic
with that?
with that in mind. Yep. She'll have to get the paramedic certificate or certification within a year of date of hire.
And so you said 3rd generation
Yes.
firefighter? Excellent. So who in your family?
My father was on Holliston for 20 years, and then my uncle before him was on Holliston as well for, I think, 5 to 10 years as well. So,
Great. Any other questions? So then I would be looking for a motion.
I move to appoint Casey Hobson to the position of career firefighter / EMT pending successful physical abilities test.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. You're in. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
thank you.
I do one more thing while we're here.
Yes.
So Kyle Marcinkiewicz was promoted to captain a couple of meetings ago. He was able to attend. He 7 days post back surgery, so he's doing very well for that.
Great. The life change.
Kyle Marcinkiewicz.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
What's that? Yeah, should we get a quick photo? with-
Absolutely.
All right, Katie. You got it.
Sure.
That's the point. Stick it up.
Ready?
Thank you.
Then, all right, so on to 3B. So it's listed here, but do we not have anyone today?
Yeah, so there are some folks who have expressed interest in both the Agricultural Commission and the Recreation Field Commission. I've talked to a subset of those. Hasn't been the number one priority in the last couple of weeks, so I'm trying to get through some other stuff first. So put it on here to hold myself accountable to have them on here.
I know Brendan's been recruiting people actively for the Agricultural Commission. Yeah.
Set in terms of numbers based on who's expressed interest, and we get a quorum in one or both of
I
those.
believe we can get a quorum in the Agricultural Commission, the Recreation Field Commission. I need to go back to our source document and go back to the, if you recall, it was set up to be both members from existing committees and members who are not originally on committees. So these are 3 members who are not originally on any committees. So now the work I need to do is go back to those committees and say, hey, let's see your nominees.
Thanks for that update. All right, so then next is item the Shirley Jean Smith Agricultural and Art Center about scenic road bylaw, the scenic road bylaw and approval for work. So I believe we also have guests for this. So I recognize Larry Smith. So I believe is Isabella joining us at the table? Would you like to join us? So please. Actually, no, Gary is the first person from Mendon. So the ones who showed us to our first house in Mendon. So I would not be here if it were not for Gary. So thank
I
you.
brought it here, I take all the credit.
So yeah, that was 1999. So, but that's not why we're here, right? So we are here to talk about the Agricultural and Arts Center. So Jeremy, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so Gary is president of the Agricultural and Arts Center and messaged the select board earlier this month and talked about having some clearing of brush and undergrowth and some trees that were identified by the tree warden. So I'll let Gary speak to the actual work a little bit more. And Isabella's here in her role as conservation agent. She knows a lot more about this than I do. So.
Is there anyone here that doesn't like a stone wall in New England? I just want to know how hard I have to work in this. Hearing no.
I do like the stone walls. So
Okay.
yeah.
All we want to do is clean up the crap that's obliterating the stone wall on the north side of the property. It's really that simple. I've already talked to Ted Steves. He's already been there and identified a few trees that he would like to preserve, which we will do. He will mark them before we do anything. It'll be in the spring, obviously, and it's really that simple. There's besides the aesthetic reasons, there's a security reason. It will be community garden planned in that area, and given the price of food these days, it would be nice if it was visible from the street. So that's just another part of this.
You have to all that brush out.
Oh, the grapevines, they just, you can't even see the stone wall anymore.
Yeah.
And there's only a few trees that are worth saving according to Ted, but those will be preserved. So, and that's it. It's really that simple.
There's a conservation restriction on the land. That's Isabella's tie into this.
Yeah, it's not anywhere near any, wetlands or anything. So it's way on top of the hill. So
Yeah, the CR protects the stone walls too.
what's that?
The CR protects the stone walls.
Yeah,
on the
well,
property. But the,
it's kind of redundant. The town bylaw, the scenic road bylaw protects trees, anything over 8 inches, I believe, and the stone walls. You can't do anything to hurt them. So if anything, we're going to be repairing stone walls and exposing them so everybody can see them. So
So this is more of an information thing for us because the tree board looked at it.
So I think, yeah, I guess Isabella, do you have anything you want to share about the conservation restriction that would help?
My, I guess, point of order was the scenic road bylaws planning board. And
Right.
it's only relating to road work, not maintenance. So I don't even think you really have to come in.
Not entirely true. You have to have permission from I guess from the planning board, if you say that, to create an entrance into a property through a stone wall.
Yeah.
But in any case, we're only enhancing the stone wall.
You're just clearing the way.
We're not doing anything to hurt the stone wall.
I'd just be kind of curious, Isabel, is there anything that you see that raises any concern from your role as conservation?
No, I want to see the
Okay.
stone walls uncovered. My only question was gonna be which trees Ted, you said he does want to preserve some of them. My concern was that all of them. I don't want to see them all.
He had actually told me he had already planned to go down there and clear out some of the trees anyway. They were rotten and not healthy. So it was timely that I approached him when I did, so.
Was he doing the work or you?
Well, he said he had already planned to go in there and cut some. We're gonna let him do it if that's what he wants to do. But after that, then we'll go in and clear out all the underbrush.
So yeah, after we put this on the agenda and talked about it a little bit more, and dove into the bylaw, yeah, it absolutely is planning board. And the permission that planning board needs to give is related to roadway work, not related to property.
Considering the stone wall. But it is an opportunity to say thank you. And remember your mother again. There is an opportunity to say thank you.
I'll tell you a funny story about my mother and stone walls. When we moved to Mendon, didn't have any money. We bought the land and, that's a whole other story, but she wanted to have a walkway along the side of her house. And she had us go out and find these big flat stones on stone walls. Now, this was before my mother was who she became. She was horrified years later to remember that she had done that. We didn't dig up the walkway, it's still there. When I was a kid, before we could go to the town beach for the day and take swimming lessons, we had to dig this trench. We had to do like 3 feet a day till this thing was done, and it just got narrower and narrower.
We all had.
Remember when we had chores? Remember when kids had chores?
So, the general bylaw committee review committee talked about this as well, and also talked about making sure planning reviews this. So I believe Tom was gonna go and talk, to the planning, board about just at least clarifying some of this law. And then the general bylaw review committee just wanted to clarify that there's a lot of knowledge out there about the stone walls, and people have different conceptions about what we can and cannot do with the stone walls. So I believe that committee is also trying to maybe put some of that into language, so that we don't have misconceptions and people don't have to stress out about cleaning up the walls or
Take the stone off.
taking
Right,
stones
yeah.
off the walkway.
So
like that.
there is something about stone walls in both the general bylaws and in the zoning bylaws, it sounds like.
There's not.
There is not, oh,
There's
okay,
misconception that there is, and I'd
Okay.
like to clarify that.
Okay.
And right, so that stone walls are about planning and they're
Right.
about if you take it apart, put it back together. It was not about anything else, like if we're out there measuring stones and whatnot, if you want to enhance the quality of your property and hence the quality of the town, you should.
So I don't think there's a select board vote needed here. I think this was educational for a couple of people, myself included. The bylaw reads scenic road designation does not require planning board approval for trimming or cutting of trees or destruction of stone walls unless related to road work.
and this is in
That's
the
the
zoning.
town bylaw, but the
So-
nonprofit bylaw says that we can't cut any trees, which is the only reason I'm here. We've just done it. But, and of course, the scenic road bylaw as well. But, I need something in writing to put in a file, just,
Well, Tennessee went there. He's the elected official oversees it.
Ted Stevens did, I would ask for an email from him. That should cover.
Do you want us to take a motion just to cover your?
Wouldn't have any authority in.
For your own.
You do have
organization?
authority over the bylaws of the nonprofit. That you're the regulating authority on that.
Where the conservation is the regulating authority, not conservation restriction.
We definitely voted to put it in place. Of course, it's less than the conservation.
Oh, that's fine.
So I think the commission would just want to see something in writing from Ted stating that. he's
Yeah, I'm
regulating
waiting for his letter. I don't know why he hasn't sent it to me
The
yet. but-
action is for the tree warden to provide
Yeah.
something in writing saying this is what we're gonna do.
Sure.
In terms of tree removal, the conservation commission should be CC'd on that.
But we're not,
So
we're
that-
not gonna deny hazard tree removal. We
Right.
just want confirmation that they are hazard trees.
So you get CC'd on the letter saying this is what we're gonna do. I think.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, any other questions? Well, thank you, and we look forward to seeing that stone wall once it's physically. Thank
Very good. Thank you.
you, Isabella.
Can we get a note? Yeah, to make sure. it's-
Or. Sorry, so which one is it? Oh, okay. And we want to do any of these out of. Do you think? Um, is Denton is going to be, is that a fairly fast one?
It will be, because I got another.
So we can take. So we've got 5. I feel like the number 5, the recap of the February 12th meeting might be a little bit longer. So why don't we jump forward to item 10 about the Denton property, if you are ready for that, Jeff? Okay. All right. So this is about the Denton property conservation restriction. So a reminder, this is a property that the town voted to use CPA money to purchase a conservation restriction that is shared with a number of other organizations.
Correct. I have the stacked in my other notes, and I talked about it in previous meetings, but there's Metacomet Land Trust, there's
Nature
Nature
Conservancy.
Conservancy, Mass Audubon's on it. And there's a grant from the state, and then using CPA funds. So part of that is we're essentially purchasing the conservation restriction. So we got a draft of the conservation restriction, and Mazar got a draft and circulated to the group last week. That went to council, who is looking at it now. And so I put it on the agenda. We had to have the agenda out Thursday for this meeting. I heard back from Metacomet Land Trust this morning who said, this is what council is reviewing right now is the draft that goes to the state. And then once the state approves the conservation restriction and it comes back to us, that's when select board needs to approve the document. So it's not approving what council's notes are or anything before it goes to the state, which is good because we don't have it back in there. We bring it to the board after the state approves it. So that's where we're at.
Still a few more steps.
And all of this, this was for the timeline of the grant and to get should have been to the state by February 1st, but we didn't even receive it until February 13th. So we're on a tight timeline to be able to qualify for these grant funds.
What's the risk level missing?
I don't know. I haven't dealt with this agency or purchasing a CR before, so.
If you don't get the CR recorded by June 30th or 27th, you don't get the land. So you'll lose the 500,000 that was awarded.
By June.
It's like July 1st, but you need it in for the Secretary of State to sign it.
And there are a few other steps in between. It sounds like there's a few more back and forth.
So, yeah, they'll have comments
Mhm.
and they'll go back and forth between all the agencies.
Okay.
Last year with the Vandersloot CR, the final signatures were in June. and we got it in like.
I remember that. I remember there was a bit of
a week
a
of.
rush to get the signatures, I think, yes, yes. All right, well, fingers crossed that that doesn't happen again, but if we need to, we'll do it, right? But,
Yeah, just kind of curious, who's actually, are you keeping an eye on it in the process, or who's responsible for making sure it's getting from point A to point B, in time and fashion?
Ann Nazar is the principal driver of this, and I've been copied on and continually prodded our council when it comes to junctures. But there's a lot of outside agencies too.
Right.
So I'm not like the person in charge of it.
You said that we're supposed to have it by February 1st, we didn't get it till the 13th. You gave it to us on the 13th.
So I believe this is what happened. Isabella said, there's comments from various agencies. It bounced around Audubon and Metacomment and before it got to us on the 13th, is my understanding.
Yeah, I think, and Anne went on vacation too, so I think there was just. Getting it in for February wasn't a hard deadline. That was just when they wanted to get it in.
Our deadline is June, July.
The deadline for the final recording of everything, but the like initial review, they wanted to get in. For February.
Right, so that, I mean,
To get it
they've got
started.
these checkpoints along the way.
Yeah.
I'm more looking at what's the drop dead to make sure that these are, teenage, sounds like June 1, right?
Yeah, but I don't think,
Well, it's July-
nobody's
July.
worried.
I'm going with June just to kind
okay,
of.
yeah.
You know. Can April, I would just want to make sure we have some redundancy then, so if somebody does go on vacation, there's somebody else picking it up in their absence.
I guess my point is, it's in council's hands right now. Have
Yes.
And then it goes to the
you been
state.
given a,
Yeah.
been given a due date, did they promise it to you by a certain date?
A review and get back to you quickly is what I had heard on Thursday. And then she told me she got sick over the weekend when I asked about it this morning.
So,
So we'll follow up likely tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Not exactly.
yeah, I just want to, I don't want us to be the road.
right, right.
We have control over something, make sure we kind of push.
We
it.
did use the state template and then highlight changes and red line and stuff. It's not like we wrote this from scratch.
And I don't think
Yeah, it's 35 pages.
town council hasn't had comments on the last two since
Okay.
I've been here.
Okay. And it's pretty similar since it's the state template. Any other information for us, Isabella? Questions for us? Questions for Isabella?
Are you nervous about getting this done in time?
I haven't been too involved yet. I'm looking for it to come for a draft that's ready to go to the commission. I think that the commission has feedback on what they want to see.
Okay.
They've had comments before.
Is there any way that this could be done parallel? So I mean, I can't imagine the legalese that's coming back from town council is going to substantive in terms of what the Concom is
It's-
going to do. You know what I mean?
It would almost make sense to have it go to the Concom first, or we can make it all.
Right.
All legalese at once.
Right, or, I mean, I also wonder if it would make sense to have a joint meeting with them when it gets to the point.
Yeah, whatever we can do to kind of sort of
Right.
sequencing everything. we can,
I think we, as a town, have kind of let Metacomment be the driver
Okay,
because they do this several every year.
Okay.
So Lisa and Mike are the ones submitting to EEA, not
Yeah,
me or Ann.
That's all good. I'm just thinking.
Except it's our.
My only point would be the 35 pages, it's probably about 95% going to go unchanged. So I hope that the Concom could be reviewing 35 pages now, in parallel, so that if they see anything that's like, oh my gosh, I want to add this, we could actually push that over to council. You know what I mean? Just sort of.
would that work? I mean. Okay, so we'll follow up on that, and I think,
The commission will review it once EEA gets their initial.
but I do wonder though, since sometimes meetings are a roadblock, I do wonder about if it would be helpful to schedule the Conservation Commission's review and voting on this sort of possibly jointly with us, or we could join in just so that people don't have to repeat the same information at two different meetings. That might speed things up. And when does the Conservation Commission, Thursdays? And I mean, potentially we could join remotely as well.
Yeah,
Or
I
some
agree,
forum
that's an
of us.
efficiency that we should probably have.
Yeah, I mean, I just, right. So, yeah, so we're open to having a joint meeting if that helps speed things along, so. I don't know that we've had a joint meeting with the Conservation Commission, not since I've been on the board.
No, I think
So-
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think, yeah. We're all for it.
Those are the funnest meetings they have.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
they call me something.
Okay, all right. I'm missing out then, okay. I'll have to go to one of them. Okay, anything else on this?
Oh, I'll just note just on the side, we are planning to have a public hearing for the bylaw, trying to get the update in for spring. So that will be March 13th. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
So let's. Did we cycle back to number 5? Okay. So it's community announcements and events. So a recap of the February 12th multi-board meeting with MURSD. I want to preface this with we're not going to be voting on anything about this tonight, and there will be a lot of time at future meetings for us to debate and discuss this in more depth. So I think this is something that I can see taking us a lot of time to discuss because it's a big issue, but not all of us were able to attend that. So anyhow, so Jeremy, if you could start us off, I know you had some notes that you wanted to share.
Yeah, thanks. So I think that's a good preface, that this is kind of to let other folks know what. So principally, the school is going to be asking for 2 debt exclusion warrant articles. One on roof replacement at Nipmuc High. And that is funded by an MSBA roof repair program, which is why it needs to be a separate item. That's about $7.4 million. Looking for about half to be funded by the Massachusetts School Building Authority. And then a second set of capital projects, which the school is categorized into category 1, end of life, category 2, safety and security, and category 3, student learning. So it's a huge amount of items, building management systems, window sealants, lockers and bathrooms and flooring, and a large athletic complex investment, both at MISCO and at Nipmuc. All of those things in total come to about $33 million. So roughly $7 million on roofs and $26 million on everything else. In broad figures. So the school is looking to bond these out at 20 years, a debt exclusion. The taxpayer impact study is, they didn't share the details of it. It was just kind of some talking points. So that'll be in further presentations from the schools as well.
So I guess another key point is that total you mentioned is for both towns.
You're right.
So that's not Mendon's share,
Yeah.
just in case anybody
And so
had palpitation.
So debt service on that is raised on the levy each year, and the amount raised is to the penny what debt service is. And that will fluctuate year to year. So the taxpayer impact is a bit difficult to do because as the enrollment changes and the relationship between the contribution to the funding formula changes year to year, what one town versus the other pays in year 7 is going to be different than it is in year 1. I don't know how different or in which way it will go, but it is not going to be, it's not like doing a taxpayer impact for a project just locally where you could say this is what debt service is going to be for the next 30 years.
And I think the enrollment is going to be based on the actual physical building. So it's going to be the group, it's going to be the enrollment at Nipmuc as opposed to the overall district, which is what our budgeting is usually driven by.
That's a really good point. Kids could be going to any school, not just.
So yeah, so for context, it was a multi-board meeting between the Mendon Upton Regional School District, the Upton Select Board, the Upton FinCom, which I don't actually think had a quorum to meet, but the Mendon FinCom, which did, and the Mendon Select Board.
Also, MURSD administration as well, which I guess they're sort of affiliated with the school committee, but not technically.
I was also there.
And yes, that's true. And right, also the town manager of Upton.
Joe.
So yes, and some other people too. So it was a lively meeting. I was really happy to have that opportunity to meet with the counterparts in Upton. Surprising that we have not had many such opportunities. It was my first time meeting any of them, actually. So hopefully we'll have a chance to do that again. Were there any other questions or comments? I mean, I think we can take a few minutes to talk about this now, but I know probably there are a lot of questions and comments.
I'll start.
Okay.
So structurally, yeah, that meeting was great. And we should look for other opportunities to have similar meetings. I mean, having the people in the same room, I knew it was going to be impactful, but it was more impactful when people spoke, to see them speak and to watch other people's reactions. And that was really useful. That was the first thing. The second thing was you might have gotten from my commentary in the meeting that I didn't truly feel they were presenting all of the facts, and that made it very hard to present an opinion.
Okay. Right. So I think maybe what we could do is follow up work on gathering some questions that we have, perhaps. I know Mike Goddard, you were involved with some of the discussions as a liaison to the capital, their capital planning subcommittee of the school committee. So I think, yeah, we probably do have a lot more questions about it. So good.
And then I thought that my other thought was that maybe we could keep this on the agenda somehow so that we continue to talk through it.
Yes, it is.
And I think it deserves a lot of time.
Yes, I agree. It's a lot of, and it feels very soon to me.
Yes.
So we're talking, because this would be,
May.
we would be voting on this in May at both town meeting and in the election. And as we'll see when we open the town meeting warrant, some of these decisions will need to be made quite soon. So
How do we get that?
yeah, Mike.
I would want to understand what are we looking to do through this conversation? So,
Because please correct me if I'm wrong, but Upton Regional School District, ones that can put something on the warrant, we don't really have control. I think my thought is the conversation would be simply to get the word, because the comment that I'll make is that I think they did a great job of illustrating the current physical condition. Senator is very poor of the property and how exigent it is that it get done.
Right.
And I think the more we can make people understand that. because
Right.
They're going to put it on.
Right. So I think,
People are going to have to vote, and I want to make sure that everybody is truly informed.
yes, and they may be asking us for endorsement to vote on it at some point as well. So I think we should put together our questions. I know, Mike, did you have another comment?
I'd say the two things from my perspective. One is that we may be asked, what does the select board feel about this article on the floor?
Right.
So
Yes.
we probably need to have a position where we say we are in support of, or so on. The second thing in terms of ongoing conversation is understanding how it impacts the overall capital planning process for the town as well as the school.
Right.
And how, as you're probably going to be working with Jay Byer to understand how we handle that debt load, what that starts to look like. So getting more informal on those lines for me would be helpful going into understanding how we support or don't support.
It's right.
Yeah, but in terms of conversation, I just want to be, because it's not like, to your point, like, we're not going to sit here and vote whether to put it on the warrant. It will be on the warrant,
Mhm.
but we may be asked, how does the board
Right.
feel, support, not support? I think MUSD,
And to Jason's point, I'm not sure, maybe all the facts there, and I just didn't pick up on. I need to know all.
yeah.
So the schools will be here to present their budget on the March 12th.
Yeah, but then the warrant closes on what day?
Yeah, so it's going to be on the warrant. It'll be the next
No,
day.
but,
Yeah.
but no, but to that point,
Mhm.
I want to be able to ask questions. that
Right.
night, or even before that,
Right,
particularly about the sports, you know, the sport fields. In contrast to all of the structural issues with the buildings. And how it all fits together. And I think that's gonna be vital for the townspeople. to hear all of that too.
That I think one of the objectives of the board for that specific meeting was to drive some municipal led discussions.
Mhm.
Sure.
And start to get the word out to your point and hopefully drive some level of support within the municipalities versus just those folks that are going to the school committee. Because the school
Right.
committee can't advocate for your.
they can, right, I mean,
I think
There's
They
some
can-
rules.
they can advocate, but right, there's,
So you all,
Right.
you all are individual politicians who can advocate in any direction for anything you want.
Mhm.
What you can't do is use public resources
Right.
on it. So you can't print off a vote yes, vote no on our printer and then hand it out to people. But you
Right.
can say, vote yes, vote no, you're politicians. You can do whatever you want. Say whatever you want.
I'd be curious what the school committee is specific to overrides. Because there are some pretty tight discussions what they can and can't do.
in terms
From
of,
advocacy.
like campaign finance laws, or there are other laws relating to the school
I-
committee?
I'm gonna just say, we should make sure, because I can hear them say that, and I know in the last override that we did, they were they had stepped back from a very similar building committee.
I see. Well, I think that has to do with, I mean, unless there's something different with the school committee, I think it has to do with campaign finance, which
I think it actually has to do with schools, maybe.
I see.
Regional school district. So we just check.
Well,
Okay.
we don't keep those for our sake.
right,
Because that's up to them to monitor themselves, so I'm just,
right,
and my point would be, they're looking to start to spread the word through all avenues. You know, the parent, the MU, Mendon Upton Parents Committees, sports, town committees.
Right.
select Boards and FinCon, so it's.
You had so in that meeting about that's good, so that's a good thing, like you've been saying it for a while. Brought up the concept of the towns unifying on field planning in general.
Mhm.
And I think that's an important quote to keep in, regardless of what happens with
Right.
these votes.
right,
We
right,
still need some sort of unified strategy on how to roll
agreed.
fields in these towns. We are both using them, so.
And hopefully we will get that field, recreational field committee up and running and engage them to work towards that goal, towards that end.
Speak to, Upton seemed interested in joint strategy. I'm not sure if we want to connect our committee with their committee. Joint committee to look at the.
I'll see if they're interested.
Yeah, I think they should explore even other towns from sports fields.
So is the proposal that we're gonna prepare a list of questions to get to the schools in advance of the budget?
I mean, I think that would be a good idea. I think
Okay.
people could certainly also direct questions directly to, let's say, school committee members or to the administration.
Do we want to have like a single point of contact? Maybe.
I'm just thinking if I was in Jay's position, as person who's done school business and I was coming before this, to have questions ahead of time from
Yeah.
folks
Mhm.
would be super useful. So, you know, the Wednesday beforehand, the 5th, a week beforehand, get everything you want to ask Jay to me.
Okay.
And so he doesn't get the same question 4 times.
Great.
And
Right.
get that, so we can have a useful discussion on it.
That sounds good. So that's.
I'd like to know, like, the passive impacts on budget season as well, and like capital planning's thoughts on
It's true,
the
yeah.
long-term impacts of our local yearly town budget. You know, not that this has anything really to do specifically with the budget, but we only have so much money available, and therefore
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
where we press on that will make a difference to how people feel about voting.
I think we have got to be able to explain how we intend to carry that debt load and what the impact is to our own capital planning.
Right,
Longer term. And I think that's on us to do,
right,
not the school, because they don't know our finances.
right. And, right, other projects that have been like discussed. I mean, I think, I mentioned it at the multi-board meeting. It's, I feel like it's, again, the elephant in the room. We did just twice try to pass a debt exclusion to fund a new senior and community center. And we are still working on looking for solutions for that project. But this certainly another debt exclusion will certainly impact the potential timeline for that project.
We could also throw out there that part of the senior center is also going to be for British preparedness, disaster recovery. I wonder if there's a possibility that some of that function could be transferred to MISCO. Particularly in light of conversation we had with Congressman Auchincloss. Came for his town hall 2 weeks ago. I saw him and he walked right up to me and said, "We really want to be able to give you folks that earmark.
Right.
How's it going?" And I told him,
Mhm.
even though I didn't want to discuss it at the time, but the idea is if the money, is there a potential
So,
to move that earmark and have that, some of that functionality?
Jared,
moved to MISCO?
is that a question you can put to, is it Abacus about whether like so Abacus is the firm engaged to look at the possible senior center future locations, either future in the same spot, expanded in, or other spots. And they were looking at all of those, the functionality of the current senior center. And so then I guess,
Proposed functionality, new, but I really reach out to Chief Kersey, Mark, Fire Chief, to see if that is a possibility, because I see us losing that $750,000 from the federal government.
I don't think,
Yeah, the programming for the new design doesn't have emergency shelter per se. It has replicating what they do today, which is heat, center and things like that. But the actual build out that is in the original design, I think it's not in the program that I saw. And the idea, but to your point, Mike, I think we still need that solution. When they did the programming, we said, well, we should look at things like schools. So I agree, not necessarily, I think we should reach out to Jay and to Maureen and say, listen, can we formalize emergency planning? You might have an earmark to.
is the earmark for emergency planning or was the earmark for?
it was for the
construction of
senior
center?
and community center. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
But I think.
The short answer is yes.
Yeah.
It was for all of them.
Right.
The emergency
And
management.
emergency management piece of it was a selling point to get it through there.
Right.
And I can't imagine that. I'm certain they would be on board if that was the.
One of the things they were mentioning over and over and over again about something that they hadn't included in the cost, which was a diesel generator.
Right.
For MISCO, and then Jay and I got into the battery discussion, but that's the whole,
It was the color generator.
the color generator, I couldn't remember the joke there.
Right.
And yeah, the reason to do that is for emergency management situations, and that school could adapt.
Further, I had a brief conversation with Keno about how they're ready to do a tabletop exercise for emergency management purposes. And, with particularly with the two, gymnasium, cafeteria, the areas up at MISCO. If they had a generator and the beds,
Mhm.
that could be storage.
I think generator was in their category 2 ask.
It was.
Yeah,
Well,
category 2
For
safety
the
and
senior
security.
center.
Well, no,
No,
for
at MISCO,
schools.
at MISCO.
School.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly for MISCO, because they don't have.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the only school that doesn't, yeah.
But I
that's
think
it.
but we're talking somewhat to frame hospitals.
Right. The whole idea is, rather than putting that as part of the debt solution.
Yeah.
If they could take that earmark.
if the earmark
Or the,
comes
earmark
through.
pays that pension.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, well, but we still have needs at the senior center as well, so,
Well, I'm 100%
Yeah.
in agreement, but the issue is that, there's an expiration date on that earmark.
uh-huh,
And I found other times that if there's an earmark to be added this,
right,
and
Well-
it's going, and the school's going warrant this year,
right. But
At
the
the senior
earmark
center.
has not actually come through yet.
well, that's the conversation I had with him the other day.
Right, I mean, I also talked with Dana about it, so.
Okay.
So, and I mean, it's
She probably does.
still up in the air, yeah,
So
right.
just, can I say, the action that I hear is at least to reach out to Jay and Maureen and say, listen. We might have, because the takeaway was, what other ideas do people have to help defray costs on this?
That's all of me.
Right.
But I think formalizing emergency management as a potential solution at NISCO then potentially helps with the idea of redirecting an earmark there, because we've actually taken that out of the programming for the senior community center. So that's one thing. The other thing too is I want to be really careful how we talk about these things because it's not either or. I don't want the
Right.
conversation across to either or. It's a question of timing. It's a question
Right.
of how we manage debt load and
Right.
costs and finances, which we can paint that picture so that we can, for those people that want one or the other,
Right.
understand that
It's-
they're all in play.
Right,
It's a question of sequence.
how and when.
Right.
It reduces the pressure on the senior center size as well, if you can move that component out, the cost of the senior community
Yes.
center can go down.
I mean,
So,
I mean, that's a separate, I mean, that is a
That's-
separate
yeah.
question. I mean, I think, yeah.
I just want to say that the programming piece of it took it out already, because that was one of the concessions when we said, how do we reduce the costs?
Right, so that, right, there
That's the
was,
status quo, which is heating and cooling.
right, so there was, the second proposal was also a significant reduction from the original one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyhow, so clearly we have, a lot of questions, a lot of thoughts about this. It's going to be a big question for the whole community. And so, I guess we'll work on getting our questions together. And hopefully get some answers and
I've still offered Jeremy my assistance since.
yeah,
If you want me to collect questions as part of the subcommittee process,
Oh,
you can
that'd be great.
send them to me. I'll collate and send and keep Jeremy in the loop.
Thank you, Mike.
Sounds good to me.
great.
I
Okay.
need like tomorrow, 8 AM. All right.
All right, well, thank you for that. Okay, so then item 6 is open the annual town meeting warrant. So any comments about this, Jeremy, other than you
Yeah,
need to do it?
Yeah, me too. The window provides the statutory, requirements and bylaw requirements, and we close it on a Thursday. So it's the day the town hall's open in case there's a citizen petition rather than a Friday. So town clerk doesn't have to come in and wait for a citizen petition. So. And then to remind everyone, the meeting date, this board had set the meeting date to be May 2nd, the first Friday in May.
Mhm.
And the warrant will not be finalized on March 13th, but we'll have some placeholders as to what items that we know are.
time is the meeting, but at the second,
It's usually 7 PM.
and Katie, your annual flickers this time around.
Okay, so I guess I would be looking for a motion.
Move to open the 2025 annual town meeting warrant with a closing date of March 13th, 2025.
Discussion? Right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, so then item 7 is a one-day liquor license application.
Yeah, so this is for Black Harp LLC. They're a mobile pub out of Holliston, and we have Emily from Peregrine on. So this is an event taking place at Peregrine, which is right across the street here. Lovely place if you haven't been. So Emily, do you want to talk a little bit about your event that you're having? Are we?
Yes, here it is.
There it is. Hi. Yes, everybody. I'm here with Black Harp, and we're hosting a St. Patrick's Day event at the shop. If you haven't been down to Peregrine, I'm all about celebrating cultural heritage, my own personal heritage being Irish heritage. And so I was looking for a fun way to incorporate some of that and, you know, bring a fun event to the town of Mendon. And I came across the Black Harp, which is also owned by a Mendon resident. And we wanted to put this event on also in tandem with Jamie Sad Photography, which is opening in the space next to mine. So it will be 3 businesses. And we can speak more to the details if you had any specific questions.
Is the event, so it's located solely within Peregrine? It's all indoors?
So we have the property itself. The first answer is no. It'll be at 1 and 3 Maple Street, and we have the property behind. It's all owned by Rich Schofield, who's aware of the event and has signed off on it. And the excuse me, septic leach field, which is in the back, also has a parking space where the mobile pub will be placed, and we can hold the event on that field with like tables and folding chairs and things, with the ability to have an open house of people coming and going from the shop to the outside and into the photo studio as well. So it's an indoor-outdoor event.
Okay.
I'm just curious what parking will be, since I know it's like right now there are snowbanks, maybe they'll be cleared by March. What's
I
that?
said, I hope so.
So I mean, that's a Sunday, they'll be parking behind the post office, they'll be parking along Maple
And here.
and here at the town hall.
Right,
So-
thank
All
you.
right, I suppose Clough School as well.
Yeah.
Sir, I'd be happy to answer any questions in regards to the pub itself.
Right, so you're also meant, yeah, you're yes, join us.
Everyone was good. Yeah.
And what is your name?
My name's Jean,
Okay.
and I own the Black Harp. I'm also a Mendon resident. So it's a 16x8 trailer. It was a trailer. I took the sides off of it and built. It's actually an Irish pub, but on wheels. So you can go inside, there's a bar, there are tables, there's a church pew, a little wood stove, not actual wood, that would be dangerous. It's not a spear, not lighting anything on fire inside. There's a flat screen TV, so anything. Yes. Rain, Emily. So it's really a pub on wheels, and I've been in the industry for 35 years, just wanted to start my own pub, but I did not want to pay the rent or the mortgage with the rates the way they are, so I was like, let's think outside the box, and so.
You made
It's all yours. And so I made a box.
Yeah.
Now I'm in it.
Very interesting.
So, it's really frozen out there right now, and if 4 weeks from now, that back area is still frozen, are you still planning on holding the event? Or do you expect more people to be hanging out on the sidewalk instead of behind? It's, it is New England.
I mean, that's a fair question. I do know it's going to be in the 40s next week, so I'm not super concerned.
Okay.
If anything, it might be a little muddy, but from my experience living here 5 years now, I haven't had any issue with the snow in March, but I could be very easily mistaken.
Don't check this out.
Right. So maybe it's wishful thinking. The idea is that the pub will be available whether it's rain or shine. I have a tent that we can set up as well. It's a 10-foot tent to put tables and chairs in. And also people are allowed inside both spaces. And so with that in mind, it's not going to be the end of the world if it is raining. As for the snow on the ground, I don't expect it to be there.
Are you going to have bathrooms available?
Yes, in both of our spaces, we have bathrooms.
Is there a routing slip aspect to this we need to worry about, whether it's public safety, board of health, things like this?
State pending stuff. So we route this through public safety and highway. So this board gives approval and then folks get.
Maybe instead of saying one Maple Street, maybe the one in.
What's exactly the pure?
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at traffic implications, make sure that there's not building inspector will sign off, make sure it's a place that is accessible to the public. If it's a place with a business license, that. Same with the fire, make sure the fire inspections are up to date. So before this board sanctions an event that was not previously considered when something was licensed, we go back to those licensing folks and just say, is everything.
Gotcha.
And please, you just want to let them know so that they don't stop by and say, why are
What
people
people-
drinking? Yeah.
People
And I always have my.
over contain the law, being out,
Cheap
not on the
crazy.
sidewalk or on the sidewalk. You know, just all the housekeeping stuff.
Check boxes.
So a motion would include the pending, what was it? Slips.
I didn't realize it was on both, the applications, so it should be one.
And
one
three.
Three.
I apologize, I think I only put one on the application itself.
So any other questions?
I'm sure that this is not really a question, but I'm sure tip certified staff, all of that, I have liability insurance, $1 million,
That's part of.
tip certified, so that's all taken care of, just to answer if that's gonna be a question.
Any questions from the board?
Yep.
So should we have a motion?
I move to grant Blackhawk LLC a one-day liquor license at 1 and 3 Maple Street for March 16, 2025, pending receipt of routing slips.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Good luck with your event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope to see you guys
Thank you.
there.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
So next up is number 8, the Affordable Housing Committee creation discussion. No, Jeremy, I know I have some thoughts on this. Jeremy, did you want to start this one? Or should I start this one?
Yeah, I'll kind of set up the context and you can talk about some. So you can see from the email that was in the packet, Land Use Committee and CPC Committee Chair and Mazar reached out about having a formalized committee to work on affordable housing. So in town right now, we have an affordable housing coordinator, who's planner Jack Hunter, who is on contract and functionally retiring shortly. So we'll talk about what planning looks like for 26 and how to roll to a more permanent full-time position and assign that person to be affordable housing coordinator. So that will be our kind of staff approach to it, but having a committee of folks to have input as well. Is what Anne's asking for here. We have nothing formalized, document also. Engagement. Sure.
Thanks. I wanted to weigh in that, as part of the housing production plan working group, discuss how it would be useful to have some committee actively engaged on working on these questions between the deadlines for housing production plan. So to actually help keep moving towards the goals set out in that housing production plan. And it seems like it would be useful to have a small group of people with that goal.
That would be their mission to further the plan or to continue to review and bring up its selling points.
Those are my questions. I would expect it would be largely framed with respect to the housing production plan, so not coming up with new ideas necessarily, but working to look at those goals. And I think also just because there are properties owned by the town that have some of them. I think there have been attempts to have proposals for affordable housing. So on Providence Street, that property behind the senior center. And I think there has been some work with CMRPC consultants, but there has not been. Well, we still haven't had a project, so it's still, we still have not had a proposal for a specific, for some homes in that area. So, yeah, so to further the goals, I think. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, in general, I think I'm fine with it.
Right, right, and I think ideally they would be working in collaboration with the planner as well. I mean, that the housing production plan would also work with the planner as well as CMRPC. But yeah, I think maybe we can work on,
I mean, really, I think Tom works with the Isabel, who's the agent,
right,
work with the planner. But, my only hesitation was to say it's an affordable housing community versus a housing.
that is a good point.
That-
Yes, I like that, I like that. Yeah, there's,
Executing the production plan.
right, the housing production plan
Action items.
included affordable housing, but there are a lot of, right, types of housing, some of which are designated affordable housing, and some, one of the goals was to just increase the diversity of housing stock in general, so, but yeah, so that would be another question about whether it could be like a housing production plan implementation committee or something like that.
How often do we hear about housing initiatives in the state? This is our committee, possibly even the state level. I mean,
That's a good question.
I see the governor going, she said, we just brought all these hundreds of $1 millions to develop housing. In different communities, well, we're trying to do it, we might use some help,
So I guess another question would be, are there other communities that have such a committee that where we could borrow their, as a starting point, borrow their, I don't know.
I could reach out to CMRPC. Because I'm sure they could-
Yeah, what's that?
CMRPC could probably give us some suggestions. And I'm sure
Right.
that they have other communities within their region.
I think it also struck me, we got this email before we had our session. Ann's mentioned this from the CPA meetings,
Right.
and I just think one of our goals actually was to review and revitalize this committee. I wonder if you roll this into that effort, as we look at 26 and say,
Right.
we actually review and revitalize, create,
Right. So I guess it might be good to find out if there are any like pressing deadlines for this.
Yes, so what I said to Elena when we talked about this earlier was, specifically laid out the rec field and agricultural committees as once the staff, and I've like pushed them off 2 agendas. I'm like, all right, I'm working on that one before I'm getting another committee up. So in terms of creating committees.
Right.
So then, I mean, if it gets raised to the, housing committee level, I think there needs to be guardrails in places they should stay out of, specifically around planning. I don't know what those are, but I think planning would want to provide that input, like, these are the things we see as part of our committee.
Right, so maybe it might be worthwhile having a planning board member of the committee.
Yeah,
Like there's a
that's
good
good.
land use committee, so
Yeah.
the land use committee has a planning board member. So I guess it sounds like we have a few questions. We're not ready to start this. I think we already sort of suspected. We're not ready to start it tonight, but like this is the start of that discussion.
It sounds like a topic that needs bandwidth, so if there are people willing to participate, it sounds like something we should do.
Right.
A lot of questions and how to move forward is on us. I'm not sure if we're going back and saying, hey, Ann, what do you think? Instead of she's looking for us to lead this.
Okay, so I think I can see some additional steps that we can take, right? So finding out other towns, so maybe checking in with CMRPC for some guidance. Committees, committee, charters. And then,
I can take that action.
okay,
And then
Thank you.
back on Mike's point about general committee review, and I think we should really seriously consider what defunct committees we remove when we add new ones, because
That's, yeah.
Yeah. And
My
just not.
reaction to this was we've got too many committees. No,
Right,
but
yeah.
in the CPA meetings,
Yeah.
there's too many, and everybody's trying to implement everything at their own level, so once again, it's one of those things, is this actually part of the master plan? Is there folks in the master plan?
Yeah, we don't want the decisions.
I know also, I have seen some community comment, like concerned about the lack of affordable housing in Mendon, so maybe that means there might be an appetite for community volunteers. So that's another question.
You see that on social media?
What's that?
You see that?
Well, okay, it was somebody saying like, we can't have this until we have that, you know. But,
Right, I mean, there's still a lot of talk at the state level, like Mike mentioned, about all the communities dealing with housing, you know, regulated by the state and not. So there's a lot to think about.
well, we're not, yeah, we don't have the, we're not an MBTA community, so we have more
We're
flexibility.
nearby, and so communities around us are having to deal with
It's only a matter of time before the creek.
Yeah.
That creek,
I agree.
Mission Creek comes out here.
Because we're Metro West almost at this point, right? Like it's, the cities are growing, suburbs are growing.
So I for one would like to have people in Mendon focused on this question, and then, but that's my 2 cents. But it looks like, yeah, we have a few steps, and then I think working with our planners also. So you're gonna check in with the planning committee and CMRPC, and so we'll get this back on a future agenda. Maybe after we have some progress with the other two open committees.
Yeah, that's the, sorry.
No, I said, that's great. The thing that always will bug me is when we create a plan, we don't create the means of execution, it's the goals that have that plan. So housing production is great,
Right,
and it crosses over some areas, but we get a little focus there
right,
and actually move against it.
right. So, yeah, and usually we need some people that actually have that focus.
They also have. So if they have no real power to execute.
Right, well, they can make recommendations. I mean, that's useful. I mean, it is useful, right?
I guess my point is, it just has to be.
Right.
So that's what I was gonna mention, was essentially the bylaw review committee, you know, we talked about that for a year in the background without bringing it to the board, with people thinking about being on the board and trying to focus what everybody really thought was the best use of that committee. And I didn't bring it here until I thought that everybody believed in that sort of document that we brought with charter and everything. So if somebody spearheaded that way, it's gonna be much more successful. Because that's where the power comes from, is when our board listens. And we're gonna listen when we know everybody cares.
Although there is, I mean, we do have a document, the housing production plan, which, so that is, I mean, to some extent, there is a plan built in, but you're right, we do need to come up with a,
Action part of it.
right, the action part of it. And I think some of that is built into the plan, but it won't happen unless somebody's assigned to that task. Great, all right, well, so we'll revisit this at a future meeting. Probably in a few weeks. After the budget and after the other two committees. Great, thank you. All right, so we did not have the old salt box, where okay, so number 9, yes.
Yeah, so the issue we had was about sorting through the estates of people who were listed on the deed. So we have the probate case numbers for the 2 that we need, and have requested them from the Worcester Probate Court. Town council's paralegal was working on that, and I was told that if we didn't have them from the court in the next 2 weeks, that council would send paralegal to the court to dig through them. stuff, right? The files are paper and old in a physical place, and need to be found. So it's not generally how you want to spend money on people, you know, because there's a marginal cost every time you do anything. So we generally don't want to necessarily spend money sending folks out to dig through files. And I think this project has drawn on long enough and is working.
I think it's drawn on far beyond where it was supposed to draw.
Is it just the deeds office? Or is it more?
So it's the
Probate.
probate court, because folks who are listed on the deed,
It's definitely.
folks who are still listed on the deed. Passed, and so you have to go through their estate, see
So
what's
it's
wrong, and it is down.
Is there a cost opportunity here to be staying only 2 weeks? The draft has been going on for a long time. 2 weeks, right, bullets and something that files.
So what was the deadline again, after which she's going to send some?
Yeah, start, so 2 weeks. So you say send someone one day.
Yeah. Need to send somebody like now. Because just having dealt with probate within the last probate court in the last couple of years, I would be extremely surprised if we make that deadline now.
But there are budgetary considerations to it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, it's budget breaking considerations, 1 day worth of. All right, we'll see what they're. So we'll.
Great, thank you. All right, so then over to 11, as we talked about 10 earlier. So 11 is the select board policies and procedures.
Yeah, so I was supposed to get those back at the end of last week and did not. So kind of after chatting a little bit, I think the board should vote to adopt the policies as previously communicated to council. And then should council come back with any recommendations, we can revise the policy. I think that's fair.
Set the select board's policy and procedures as previously written.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? Right, yeah, I agree. We can amend it as needed if town council finds any red flags in it. So further discussion?
Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, for 2 eyes.
That's it.
All right, great, thank you. All right.
I'll get that up on the website.
That is wonderful. And I think we've been trying to, go along with those policies and procedures, so far. So but it's good to have it documented.
And that ratified policy, you gotta follow along.
Right. Okay, wonderful.
5 years.
All right, so then number 12 is the financial policy.
Yeah, so I sent around, so there's two documents here called, I wrote about policies and the accountant's more procedural based one. So the accountant's procedural based one, is, waiting for input back from the treasurer and the assessor and folks who have. The ones that I sent around, I got comments from one member, so if anyone else has some comments and wants to send it back, I think a lot of it has to do with clarity on what I want to say, that's not what but yes, folks have other comments and, what we're going to circulate it again.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, then number 13, the fiscal 2026 budget update.
Yeah, so we're in a pretty good spot. We are going to start budget meetings on the 3rd, so the 3rd, the 5th, the 10th, the 12th, the Monday, Wednesday, the first 2 weeks. Splitting up fire, police, highway, and schools, we're on 4 separate nights. And then have, fill in some of the smaller departments on the rest of the nights. Some of the smaller departments, who don't have any substantive or any changes, I give them the opportunity that I would present their budget, so that say, just be the same as we did last year, plus COLAs and salaries. If that, I'll try to do that earlier in the process. So if you do have follow-ups and you want something from the department heads, we can have. Gonna be having a couple of new FTE ads. The big thing, I'll roll this here, request. So the big thing, I kind of want to see what the board wants to do. So we have the department requested budget. And then we have, the ultimate select board budget. That's town meeting. So kind of in between there, I have opinions on how we can bridge that gap, right? Because, we're hundreds of thousands of dollars out of whack if we just stay here. So, but I want to be able to, give a recommended budget in there at some point. But I also want to give department heads the opportunity to advocate for the full freight of what they're asking for. So the biggest example is fire's asking for 4 full-time firefighter positions. I'm not, some of that ultimately my recommendation get to a council budget. But I want to give the chief the opportunity to say to you in the public, here's what I'm asking. So
It's gonna be that format.
yeah, that's what I'm asking what the board wants to see. I think just talking to everybody, because when you talk to fire on the first night, you can't say, well, we can't afford all 4 of your firefighters because you don't have the full budget picture. I think having him sit and advocate for it, and then me giving, kind of bridging us from the ask to the balance, taking, different with the city, you may just sit down and do it and hand it to council. But having a board as the executive, I'm not sure how you want to. We don't have a TA bylaw that says I present you a balanced budget or something that's not. So what does this board want the process to be? Or how much do you want me to shape it and just tell you what the process is?
I say last year, I thought the information was helpful, so you said the line item department budgets in this format that comes out, like, get ready for the book, right? And there's a separate breakdown of the asks.
Right.
On top of, so it's like level service. Here are all the asks. Here's our pot of money that we potentially are looking at, and then we literally look through the asks after the budget meetings to kind of figure out. So we let them advocate. No decisions, but then we had the information to understand how things fit, don't fit.
My question is, do you think it would be, this is not public, it would be useful for Jeremy to have like an additional column in that sheet while they present?
I would want all the information in a single document.
Right, but while it's on the screen, Jeremy's proposed
Oh,
budget
right.
versus their proposed budget
I
versus
see.
level service, like, would you want that third opinion while they're there, or you want to not see it?
Like.
I would probably not a recommendation after they can advocate.
Right.
I'm assuming you have one there.
Yeah.
We need that at some.
Right.
But I, just to be fair, I want to let them make their case. Because it makes it seem like, but then it's a useless exercise.
Right.
Advocating, but there's a column right there that tells you what they get.
Right.
I've already, and I don't know how this process, the sequence of, I already know all of it. I already had them sit down and say, here's the extra stuff I'm asking for, here's, so that's how, it's not just kind of capriciously, everything comes in.
Well, in the past, I think, that was a process, but then any department that really wanted to sit in front of us would talk with the TA, and then they would have the opportunity. If they're satisfied with the give and take with you, and you're able to come up with something, I don't know if you want to call it a compromise or agreement.
But does he come and present all of that? Like, is that?
Well, no,
Is that
I guess what I'm saying is, it's good that you've already met with all of them. And it's great if you can have a meeting of minds there, so when they come to present to us here, you're unified with them about what you can give them. I mean, to use the example of the fire department that is once full-time, additional full-time firefighters. And that doesn't fit. But yet you have a discussion with them ahead of time, come up with a plan for the next few years of how to do that. I think all of that would be great, all that could be presented.
And what Jeremy was saying, thinks they would benefit from asking for the full 4.
Well, I agree.
And that's what I told folks to do. I said,
Yes.
give me a level service budget. And then any additional ask that you want for additional service, give them a form to fill out and say, what is it, all that stuff. So it's really, but I said, you know, what do you need to function in your department? Be a bit backstory stuff. And some folks were.
Sure, honestly, I mean, you're the TA, so if you were to have budget meetings with department heads, you came to a point where, I mean, you look at Jason and say, Jason, you can't afford 4 full-time firefighters. You know, and does one incrementally do it?
Wasn't verbatim.
Yeah, my point would be like,
I bet.
if you're coming and he can still advocate, and you really ask for these reasons. And working together, this is where we think, this is where we are in 26, and potentially we'd like to get to that 4-person advocate, 3rd, something like that. I'm fine. And if you're coming as a unified front saying with a recommendation,
Yeah, especially
especially the balance.
when they articulate the reason why they need the 4. Because that's all that's all on our minds now, so that, when opportunities arise and, we kind of figure out where that all fits.
And the reason I asked specifically is because there are some either charter or town special acts or something like that where it says the town manager, town administrator presents a balanced budget to select board by 5 days. And it's incumbent on my office to bring.
Is that something you wanna like faction over the?
Well, it's in the town bylaws, we have to pass a balanced budget.
Right.
At town meeting.
Is between the budget presentations and town meeting, I guess. Would it be possible to have a meeting where you then present to us your recommendation for the balanced budget? I mean, after we've seen.
Yeah, and I get feedback too, because if 4 of you say like 4 or 5 times a bust, like then.
There has to be a plan, right? Well, I mean, I like the idea of having all the departments being able to present somewhat independently where they have the chance to advocate for what they want, because for future goals as well as for, next fiscal year. But then I do think it would be like useful to us to then have sort of like more of the holistic, like all of these together. Like schedule a separate time, probably not the 12th after we've heard from the schools, but like maybe a following meeting, and maybe if that could be jointly with FinCom.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, I FinCom with further conversation on their involvement in these meetings. It is select board's budget, FinCom to review and advise county meeting. So whether they're here for the budget hearing, but that's not a budget hearing, budget meetings, I don't think is do or die sort of thing. So if then afterwards I go on the road show to FinCom and say this is the budget and how we got there.
We worked pretty well last year there, Russ.
Yeah.
With the department heads, and it was just, because it once again reduced the number of meetings, because all department heads go.
It saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
So.
Because they have a chance to ask questions then and get their questions answered then.
And selfishly, I don't have to go to a FinCom meeting, you will get questions, see? It's-
Also, I guess, so we have, jumping ahead a bit, but you can see what the next scheduled meetings are, and there are a bunch of them. But I think, I see, so there are scheduled departments for each of those meetings. And then I guess the question is, after the 12th month for all of this, do we want to fit in an additional meeting that's focused on this, or the next regular meeting after that would be, I think, that just be the 19th.
So if the 12th, so the 12th is not a regular cadence meeting, it's off calendar. So I believe there are a number of departments that I'm going to end up doing as a, you know, level service, and a number of them level funded for lots of things. And I feel like I can move, I had initially thought to do that on the 12th, but as I'm talking now, I'll move that forward. And then the schools task, not to steal Jake's thunder or anything, but Mendon is no longer the drive, not this year, as it recently years past, the driver of the formula, based upon enrollment metrics. The Upton is the driver of the formula, so we're a taker here, and it's not a class in school, so I don't think that the presentation is going to be that can drag out with more new J or anything. And I know what the numbers of football can be, so I think I can probably aim to present that kind of synopsis. Here we are, and here's
Okay.
at the 12. If the only things that we do are the school.
I see, okay.
You said school, that include Blackstone Valley? That one actually sometimes takes longer.
I won't be in attendance on the 12th, just let me know.
I'm meeting with Dr. Fitzpatrick next week, so.
And it's going to be terrific. I think Jeremy, to some extent, as you can tell, we've done it different ways in different years. So to the extent you have a process of going to streamline this a bit earlier than later. Also, maybe people have a chance to advocate. I will let you drive that bus and bring it to us.
Yeah, I mean, that seems reasonable.
And the work will be different.
Yeah. So, yes, I mean, and potentially, so we're meeting the 12th and then the 19th. I guess was your hope to get this worked through? So Jason's not gonna be here on the 12th.
That's my possibility.
What's that?
We're both gonna be traveling.
Oh, really? Okay, and Mike, so.
So I'll take a week.
So, right, so I mean, if we do it the 19th, right, then we'll have.
Ask questions.
Well, that will give you the opportunity to watch the thrilling video.
Yes.
Thrilling video.
Yeah, so, I mean, because I've watched them before, like, it's funny, like, it's very different watching them.
It is.
Even though, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
It's a very unapplied experience watching them work.
Yeah.
In a different out of body experience, but it was also very weird watching the one where I wasn't here, because I was the only video person. So the YouTube video, it is 50% this room, 50% my face.
when I put my camera on regularly, because I know it's like the whole discussion is just gonna be my expressions reacting to the conversation.
Yeah, maybe that's tough.
You'll have to watch that video to see your reactions, because I don't think I could see it. All right, so, did you get through
Yeah.
number 13, the fiscal 2026 budget update? Okay. Hey, and look, number 14, town administrator report.
So this ties right into the fiscal 26 budget. One of the big things that it's going to be a hurdle for us is our insurance rates, our health insurance rates through Maya are increasing 19.92%. So what's so frustrating about things like that, I say to people all the time, it's like when you put a new roof on your house, like you spend tens of thousands of dollars, not even the exact same experience as you have. It's not we're getting anything more. We're not getting 20% more healthcare. We're getting the exact same thing.
I do have a question regarding, I know we went through this in the past. And we took a page out of the school's playbook because we were able to, what they did was, and what we did was take a higher deductible to get a lower premium. And then put aside some money to pay those deductibles for anybody who had claims. I don't know if we still do that now, or if that, you probably already thought of that.
Yeah, so I have empowered HR to be a little bit more involved in the health insurance budget piece of this. So we talked about that, talked about going, right now we have a single plan and family plan. A lot of employers have a, single plus or one plus spouse or a plus one plan. Because you have 6 kids or no kids, but spouse, you're paying the same. What that does is it drives the family price up. So that's not always super popular. So we've looked at higher deductibles. The cost share is in collective bargaining agreements, so we have to cost to make that. Town pays deductibles right now.
Okay.
And then we also have an opt-out provision for folks not on insurance, so we're trying to operate without changing any of those, but they're all levers. I hope to not have to do that, and kind of one of the draws to folks working here is the benefit package. So I want to keep that as much as possible.
Is any of the alternate providers that you brought in, they take on any of the burden of this? Like, is there a feature set that we're not using inside the healthcare plan that could be covered by an alternate provider? I don't know, eye care, that's.
Yeah, so we don't pay the premiums on those are 100% employee paid. So we only pay the premium on the health insurance plan. Through Blue Cross Blue Shield, through Maya,
Yeah.
300 and how many entities across the Commonwealth. Anticipating our questions, our Maya rep then brought a sheet that says, here's some of the other increases across, GICs. Most people weren't 19%, but she was showing us a median report and it was similar to the 14.8% that mine was getting. So it's not like there's some outlier Blue Cross Blue Shield. You can of course go and procure insurance. Put on an RFP and see whether, but
BCBS is a good provider.
yeah. So it's blood from stone at some point.
So here's a question. 1% there. If you looked at a level service budget right now, they all getting asked level service. Do you have a hole in our budget or a we do surplus? Yeah, because that's level service.
Yes, there's a surplus.
No, but that's good to know.
Yeah. When we're here.
It's asked because there have years when we used to be like, this point, you know?
Right.
So like,
Are they projecting out to next year at all? Are they talking about it?
So what's difficult too is that our individual claim experience determines what our increases are too. So once you get above a certain level of loss, that gets socialized across the pool. And then we look at I think it's a 3 or 4 year look back. So once you have big claims start to fall off, so we have force claims that fall off, but I don't know what claims are going to be next year and how many get above the.
It's like car insurance.
Cost share. So additionally, you're going to see the insurance budget go up 24% because there are, so we do open enrollment after we pass the budget, but there are no additions with current staff that are going to be coming on to, so I use the December enrollment numbers, but I'm also people who are coming on. We have employees who do turn 26, or 26, do turn 27, whatever that threshold is, they should have employee. We have 2 employees who are there, so I don't know the personal situations. So there's a prorated cost for them because you can't just turn a blind eye to it. So even without adding new positions, our insurance line will go up more than 19.
I think this year's big though, but I do wonder if we gotta kind of focus on 26 for the year ahead to say, what are our options to sort of mitigate some of that costs?
So it doesn't have to be kind of all or nothing too. We can't add the option of a high deductible low premium plan within as an additional. And what you end up, I don't know, but yeah, we can explain. On a narrower and lighter note, resident salt pickup is back. We got salt delivered, so folks can pick up 2 5-gallon pails.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I do want to talk about this.
Yeah, so highway department program for regular business hours, the highway residents can pick up 2 5-gallon pails of salt. And yeah, and should the program, highway state abuse in the program, they shut it down on us, they have.
So I thought we shut this program down last year because of service. Didn't we like trucks coming in and say, stop that practice?
We stopped.
We stopped
It's like no one's ever supposed to be able to, back up their pickup truck with the salt, salt spreader on the back. But we always allow residents to come in with one or two 5 gallon buckets.
I think it's most.
Right, I never been here.
Right. I have question about the
And I-
freeness of it.
Yeah, and kind of like,
Since not all residents are equally
Well,
taking advantage of it.
Millville always has, Hopedale always
no,
has.
no, I'm not doing them in that. The other thing is when I see one note saying it's stopped because of, there's a shortage in Blackstone Valley. And then I see it started again with a limit, and saying, well, is there still a shortage? Should we be more cognizant of this? I just,
Well, I don't know, 10 gallons of salt is really destroying salt
if
surplus.
every resident now is now aware.
If every resident, yes.
Well,
that-
but I mean, it's open to every resident.
It is.
And I mean, we don't have the staffing, it's not bandwidth to, well, we want, the household can only come once per week, we're gonna write the budget.
Yeah.
Like how are we tracking the use? So.
Also the safety, I like, how are they retrieving the salt? I've never been down there to do it,
And there's a shovel, there's a shovel.
but you go down to the highway bar, into the big
Into the
salt.
back, into the salt shed.
Right.
Residents go in the salt shed to fill up their buckets.
My concern is on a municipal finance perspective. I know lots of towns do, but lots of towns do, lots of towns do. Is that it's funded with taxpayer dollars for public use, and it is now being taken for private use. I know it's the same taxpayers.
Right. I mean, it does seem like we could have a system. I like the possibility that it's available, but I do think, I feel like there should be a charge, something like, for the extra bags for the trash for, something.
Some towns, so we had a discussion at work. I asked people at work about their towns do. Every person I talk to, their town does this. Some towns pre-bag it, put it out front, right?
Just
And
for free.
for free. I mean, at least.
They'd rather do that than have people going into the salt shed.
Right.
Bucket.
Right, and also it's limited because not everybody knows, not everybody wants to come down.
And plus, once they're out there, once they're gone, they're gone. Come back.
It feels like the trash system, we went out of our way to make sure that the people that are paying into the trash service get empty trash service. It feels like that, and I don't think we're doing that here, so if you know about it, you'll get free salt. And we have no, I'm not sure how we provide oversight.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is there is a gate that gets locked, so you can't get in there all the time.
No, I'm talking about the meters. How do you know about people that get 5 pound?
They do have cameras, I mean, they are recording, but are they looking at it and counting the people? Probably not. Right. That seems like.
And it's not like hazardous waste today.
And it doesn't say 5 gallon, and of course, it doesn't say, it says 2 5-gallon buckets. Is that per day? Is that per visit? Is that per year? Is that, it's either, I would tend to agree, it's because I think practically it's either gonna be. You can't take more, you can't show up and leave with more than 2 5-gallon buckets at a time. It's either that or no one takes anything at all,
I
period.
think we're gonna do this, we should formalize it so we understand impact, because like you said, we go do deficit spending on snow and ice.
Right.
Because
We are absolutely the deficit.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
that's fine, but then we should, knowing the taxpayers should be very much aware of that.
It's a service.
Here's a thought, here's a thought that, as I said, I think it's either all or nothing. Either you let people go and take 2 buckets at a time, or you don't let them do it at all. But it would seem to make sense to me, once the town gets in a deficit situation for the year, that's when you shut it off.
That's like the second or third storm. I know.
Because, well, the rest of it, but think about it, for most people, you get,
Budget for deficit.
yeah, but if you get, but for most people, if you get 10 gallons of salt.
Yeah, that's like 80, 90 pounds.
To put on your walkway. For most people, that's the year.
Yeah,
Now, it wouldn't, now, if you're sanding your 300-foot driveway, it won't be.
like, it seems like, I'd like to see some math about like how much it costs for, you know, if we talk about like, you know, every household, it's about 2,000 households. And what it would be for everybody to have 10 gallons.
Right.
Like that would be as large, that would be a large. What's that?
It's 10,000, right? If you talk
I
about,
don't know how much it is for 10.
well, for one bucket, because I just bought a couple
Okay.
buckets a couple weeks ago, it's like if you get it with the calcium, I don't know, is our stuff treated with the calcium? It's not, it's just right around.
Sometimes.
Right, so it's $5 for regular rock salt per, which is about a bucket
5 gallon bucket is about 5.
of regular ones. So it's like $10.
So
per
like,
house.
like, so like $20,000. What's that? Okay, right. So it might be, I mean, it would be worthwhile to decide. And that's just,
I personally.
right, well,
I do too.
right, so, but I mean, I wonder if there, I wonder, well,
sorry.
Because, so, for a few reasons, so when I was growing up, we had a hometown. And I personally used the system. And I hate to think that, you know, there's only 2 people that have to speak forever. I understand.
Yeah.
that-
I just wonder like a voucher system, like every household gets.
I'm just gonna say it, and maybe it's along the same lines of what Brendan said. And I hate to say, well, this is the way we've always done it. But it's one of the things about this town and about the size of the town. And again, 2 10-gallon buckets, but the overwhelming majority of people really is enough for a season. And the other reason is you have to, you know, what happens is sometime in October, November, you're at the store and you see it when they first put it out and you buy a bucket, right? A lot of people don't. And they say, oh, you know, I need some salt. And the stores, now it's all gone and they got no place else to get it. And they don't want to slip and fall. So they go to the highway barn with their bucket and they get a
Right.
bucket of salt. And, you know, I just,
What would the objection be, like, have your like ticket, this is your.
making somebody accountable,
What's that?
making employees to keep an eye on. I mean, we have trouble getting somebody to staff there.
During the day, during regular working day. The entirety of the HEO labor surveyor staff is in the fields for.
Yeah, right. It's not right to have somebody policing.
Slip it into a box, I mean, like, if it's sort of honor system anyhow, just to help track the number of residents that are actually using it.
I'm also more worried about people going in to the highway barn, loading their own salt when nobody's there in terms of accidents. I mean, insurance wise, do you get issues there?
Yeah, it's probably not. It's not. But I mean, everything's slippery slope, not to be like snarky, but like.
How slippery is it?
Very icy.
You don't know. I didn't even mean that. Didn't even mean that. But like, you don't let people do that with printer paper. You just town hall and grab your printer paper. Or any other commodity that's town wise.
Right, I mean, the reasoning, I'm sure originally the reasoning was just like Mike said, it was about resident safety and.
Well, it's also because everybody, especially now, everybody's responsible for the sidewalk in front of their house. So the idea is that the salt allows them to put salt on the public way in front of them and on the sidewalk, which is part of the public way in front of their house.
I know that that's not happening in the neighborhoods for me.
Me either, but you're asking the question.
Yeah,
And it sounds like they need more than 2 5.
Well, for the little piece in front of their house, for the 100 feet, yeah, maybe you're right.
I like finding out how many people are using it. I don't know how to do that. I like figuring something.
So maybe the question is to ask the highway surveyor, is it an issue? I mean, we you know, do we put up a sign that says, you know, you know, access at your own risk, you're taking a 5-gallon bucket. And, or, you know, if they can only go there when it's closed. I know they can't go in there when it's closed because now they have a gate that they actually lock. So you can't pull your vehicle in and get down there unless it's open. So presumably it's only open during the hours that they're there.
Correct.
Also, is it a right? Is it right for everybody to get the salt? Because does that mean that we have to provide it even if we don't have it? So like, those are the things we should figure out.
We would want to continue this practice, which has been, in my mind, informal at best, right? Let's formalize it, let's.
Well, it's a good idea because I will say that previous to this, anytime we ever had a discussion like this before last year, the highway surveyor was elected, it was up to him. And he's appointed now. So it does fall to us.
So maybe we can have a future agenda topic to bring highway in and tell us their recommendations and bring.
The next season.
I was just about to say,
Yeah, for next week.
Yeah, so.
Do this in August.
I mean, you can link the.
Maybe
$20, you have a sticker on it.
maybe when you have access to the, to the scrap metal recycling thing, that gives you access to the salt too. That's a good idea.
So music, I've never done it, so I think so, we must have. So,
My friends use the service.
yeah.
You know, mainly because they have uphill driveways, it's hard.
That's a really good idea. If you want to be able to get salt during the winter season, then you need to buy one of those permits.
Yeah, it's $20, you can buy it at the highway barn, the administrative assistant can handle it, because that's something you can do, and like, then you get a sticker on your car and you can look at video and see the sticker on the car or whatever. I mean, at least you have permits.
And it truncates into town residents.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So largely, when I do these, I like to look back at my calendar over the last 2 weeks and say, like, what are the things like I've been working on specifically, and what I've met with, what I talked about, I should have my budget meeting, so that's aggressive, we talked about that. We had a big meeting with as a result of our water study, so the prolonged pumping test in December. I'm going to get those slides from our consultants, share them with the board, give a broader update here. It's like a 2+ 3-hour meeting, so I didn't want to just take their presentation and hear about that. Yeah, thank you. So we'll share those, but the ultimate results were that the water is really good.
That's a very good version.
Tasty water.
Yeah, there was not PFAS detected. There was an earlier test in similar wells near,
Yes.
so it's not an end all and be all sort of thing. But because we're measuring at such a minuscule level, you can see fluctuations over small periods. But they were able to, what they say, achieve stability, which means that they weren't depressing the water table. And things that were present within the river near them, the stream waterway near them, were not present in being pumped. So that means that there's not groundwater leaching into it, if you're actually pumping. All really good signs. So I'll let people who can talk about it better than I can, explaining it through some slides and some presentations, but generally good news. We have a grant for the next phase of that.
In a related question, has there any progress or movement on that landlocked wetlands area down there that we had talked about? There was one person that owns it, but it's worthless for anything except it was right on the aquifer. Look at trying to acquire it and protect it.
Around where we're doing this test now? Yeah, so there's 2 pieces of property which the town needs to secure in one way or the other, either through conservation restriction or purchase to be able to secure zone 1 around the well. So yeah, they've had the consultants and planning both had conversations with both landowners.
Is that something we think is going to get on the warrant for May?
Probably not for May because the first discussions went super well in terms of expectation as to how much how accurate the appraisal was. So a little bit more.
At least it's progressive.
We're not all of it. Corporate Avenue East Plain Street, signal project, the highway surveyor, and I had a site walk, there with the developer, who shared some more detailed plans that the highway surveyor hadn't seen, talked about, timing of the project, how it ties into the highway surveyor's plans to pave Hartford Avenue East this year. And then met with a resident there on the corner, the Woods family.
I sent the email, yeah.
We came here and talked about the pole relocations and attempted to mitigate their concerns about what the project will end up being like. So do some existing conditions and some to make sure that anything that happens on anything that negatively impacts his house is to take care about a contract. So contract was, there's no formal plan going forward, but everybody's kind of on the same page on it. So the hope for this contractor would be to start the day school gets out, be a 3 to 4 month.
That seems.
Because they're not going to completely shut down the road, they're going to keep blocking out traffic. I'm not sure about their.
On Plain.
Yes, that's Calvin Farm.
So it's going to be very disruptive.
Yeah.
4 months.
Still doing widening through the.
Right, then, right, moving the poles.
Yeah, it's summertime.
So,
Is that like at the same time we're replacing process?
no. It's good.
I know what it's gonna be. All right.
Every night work.
I'm swearing.
And then, so it's not all bad in the insurance world, casualty is, very, very steady through the process of small increases. The budget will include the full amount for police fire liability insurance, so 2 years in a row where we were scrambling, paying it in ways we probably shouldn't have, so that number will because I don't have the number yet, it will likely be higher than it necessarily needs to be, but and then our own insurance or unemployed insurance program that we're in with Maya was piloted and subsidized by them for a few years, and so we're seeing small increases in those. Now that subsidy from the pilot years before. And we've done some meeting on capital, done some prioritization stuff with the capital working group. I think it's well on its way to being a formalized process. It's going to be, it'll be the 1 year where the department has to be more, we're doing it right now, and then like 4 or 5 months, we're going to do it again because we want to move to the front of the budgetary cycle rather than this whole time at the end. Yeah, that's all.
I think the good news on the capital side, Jeremy, though, is the new items that we just collected, there's like 5. So it really carried over from last year in terms of what didn't get done through STM. I think it's an incremental increase versus that huge, here's all the stuff I need.
Yeah.
So the summer hopefully.
Yeah.
Not angry. They're asking again.
And one thing I've said to the group before, but I want to make sure folks understand, when we talk about capital, like there's stuff in the capital plan that will be funded through the general fund, the regular appropriations that. So it reaches the level of it being capital, but it doesn't mean we need a special article fund, it doesn't mean we need one for it. We're able to do it within the general fund. So as we build on that, I want to make sure this board is feel proud of that and highlights that to folks that we're investing in capital stocks and regular.
Yeah, financial policies document that we're looking at, all of that out pretty well too, in terms of how, what different opportunities are and start to plan for and stage dollars against capital. Different ways.
Do you want to mention Occupy?
Oh, yeah. So met with Civic Plus, our website vendor, for a product that they have called AudioEye, which you will see on a lot of websites now that you'll know before, it's a small blue button with a white stick figure on it. And it is an accessibility tool. So it's like a screen reader kind of on steroids sort of thing. You can change contrast and spacing and font size and do the screen reading piece and all sorts of accessibility pieces. It is part of, I said I wanted to do an accessibility self-evaluation and transition plan because the towns is about 14 years old and lighter than I think one would be now. And this is part of it. Accessibility means more than just, is there a railing, is the door wide enough sort of thing. It means, can folks hear this recording on YouTube? Can people access our website and it's accessible to everyone? So we had that, Jason and I had a demo there, and they're going to put that bolted onto our existing website. And then once we have the new website that rolls out in June or something, just slide it right over. So we'll start to see that on the website. Cool.
Yeah, it does stuff that means that people inside the house don't need to, people writing, putting stuff on the website don't necessarily need to know everything about the requirements for accessibility. This tool will translate between what we put on the website to what the person who needs, whatever the accessibility needs are. And so one of the examples was that it will use AI to summarize what's happening in a photograph to tell the user what's going on. And that's stuff that normally on a website, somebody has to code into the website. Here, we don't have to do that. So if like we put up an image of a dog running and that's because we're doing a dog event, it'll say, dog running, and then it'll say the event and the person will get a description of what's going on. So this product is on sites beyond just municipal government. This is a worldwide product, and they also have the capacity to help us in situations where we might have complaints against our accessibility. They have a whole cadre of lawyers that can help us out and bridge that sort of gap between what the person is requesting, what the law is, because this 2026 there's a new accessibility law going in place that requires us to have an accessible website. So this tool can help us be compliant without putting in a lot of extra work, and it also isn't very expensive. So
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Have you heard anything about the codifying the open meeting law with the remote meetings?
Yes, so that's in the Municipal Empowerment Act. And I'm going to a legislative breakfast. Sometimes, so no, I since Connect 351 Act.
they've sent some emails,
Yeah, I saw one.
saying it's definitely got.
Well, there's something that they want us to call an arrest because it was supposed to do it last time. They didn't.
There's a lot of things in that municipal power empowerment. So
I think I just got an email about that today. Contacting the reps. Should I forward it?
I think that's the one I think I probably, did you get it today?
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess I did too.
Oh, okay.
So, right, so that was town administrator report, future agenda items. So we have this request from the Gridiron Club.
So this was sent to the whole select board, so they do a helmet drive. You got 116 in August. So I didn't have it formalized to a vote or a bigger description from their spot.
I thought we went through this last time, that they just need to talk to the police chief.
I don't know what you left.
I don't remember.
I also don't remember. I remember having the conversation.
That's my memory, was that it didn't really require a formal vote. We just needed to give the chief a heads up.
It's just like the first gentleman coming in, right? Like there are things that it's not 100% known is whether or not we should be providing the permission or not. This is one of those.
Right, like that having this license, so, yeah. I mean, this is.
It's a public, they're in the road, so it's
Right.
not technically public property, it's the public way, it's the roadway, right?
Right. There's another organization I thought that's done like the toll
And it's the same thing with the Knights of Columbus, the Tootsie Roll Drive. Columbus Day. And usually what they do is they just, at a point, just send the chief a letter that that's what you intend to do, because they're on the public way in the public.
I will,
It's not within our purview to stop them from doing that.
I will ask the police chief before.
That Chief Kersey?
Yeah, are you there, chief?
Yep, I'm here. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me what you want to do. When they usually send something to me anyways, you guys used to approve it, but I always go over safety with them, go over the road that they're on, that they're going to be using. So I have no problem going through my office and I can document it and send it to Jeremy when it happens if you want, just so you're aware of it, if that's the process you want to eliminate it from your meetings.
It's like we need to send a memo to you. How do we do that?
Or maybe just, what I think we just ask you to send the person from the Gridiron Club that said, it's not just, select board votes not necessary, just inform the.
But going forward, like, how do we make sure that, like, Jeremy doesn't have to, it's like it's routed properly or whatever?
Maybe we can
How-
add it
how
to a
do we-
select board policy.
Oh, hey, that's a great idea, chief. So for a future agenda item, perhaps we can talk about how we codify that into policy so that we don't have to deal with it all the time.
A few times a year.
Yeah, well, it definitely is the chief's purview. I mean,
Right, they're so far apart. It would be useful to actually have some written guidance.
yeah.
Okay, so it may or may not be a future agenda item, maybe it will not, maybe it does not need to be, it sounds like.
Likely will be is under the community events and announcements the week before. We'll
Okay.
Say, hey, everyone. this is-
Okay.
That's a great idea.
That sounds good. So it will be indirectly. Great. All right, so then next meetings, we have a few coming up. So a lot of Mondays and Wednesdays, as you can see, March 3rd and 5th, March 10th and 12th. So March 5th is our normal scheduled select board meeting, so we still probably will have other agenda items in addition to budget ones. Don't know if there's anything in the pipeline yet, but I expect there will be. I don't know if any of those appointments might be ready. So yes, maybe some appointments there. And then right. May 2nd annual town meeting, of course, right. Also there will be also, I guess, probably March 19th and a couple of April town meetings, or not town meetings, regular select board meetings. We're gonna have lots of town meetings. So a lot of meetings coming up in the next couple of months. But yeah, I forgot to ask, anybody have any other future agenda items that wanted to add? We've talked about a few over the course of the meeting, but, all right. So then I guess that brings us to 17. So it'd be
Motion to adjourn. Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 8:33. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Have a good one.
The helmet drive, that will